Juche, usually translated as self-reliance, is the official political ideology of North Korea, described by the regime as Kim Il-sung's original, brilliant and revolutionary contribution to national and international thought. The idea states that an individual is the master of his destiny, and that the North Korean masses are to act as the masters of the revolution and construction. Kim Il-sung developed the ideology, originally viewed as a variant of Marxism-Leninism, to become distinctly Korean in character, breaking ranks with the deterministic and materialist ideas of Marxism-Leninism and strongly emphasizing the individual, the nation-state and its sovereignty. Consequently, Juche was adopted into a set of principles that the North Korean government has used to justify its policy decisions from the 1950s onwards. Such principles include moving the nation towards Chaju, through the construction of Charup, and an emphasis upon Chawi, in order to establish socialism. The Juche ideology has been criticized by scholars and observers as a mechanism for sustaining the authoritarian rule of the North Korean regime, justifying the country's heavy-handed isolationism. It has also been attested to be a form of Korean ethnic nationalism, acting in order to promote the Kim family as the saviors of the Korean race, and acting as a foundation of the subsequent personality cult surrounding them. In contrast to such criticism and to accusations of seclusion. Etymology. Juche is a Sino-Korean word which is hard to translate, formed by two Chinese characters for the words subject and body. Literally it means subjectivity or agency, and in political discourse has a connotation of self-reliance, autonomy, and independence. History. Origin. The official line of the North Korean regime attributes the origin of Juche to Kim Il-sung's experiences in the Anti-Imperialist Youth League in 1930 and his liberation struggle against Japan. However, the first documented reference to Juche as an ideology did not appear until 1955, in a speech given by Kim Il-sung entitled On Eliminating Dogmatism and Formalism and Establishing Juche in Ideological Work. The speech had been delivered to promote a political purge similar to the earlier Yunnan rectification movement in China. Hwang Dang-yeop, Kim's top advisor on ideology, discovered Kim's 1955 speech in the late 1950s when Kim, having established a cult of personality, sought to develop his own version of Marxism-Leninism into a North Korean creed. Development. In his 1955 speech, the first known to refer to Juche, Kim Il-sung said, "To make revolution in Korea we must know Korean history and geography as well as the customs of the Korean people. Only then it is possible to educate our people in a way that suits them and to inspire in them an ardent love for their native place and their motherland." In the speech on socialist construction and the South Korean Revolution in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, given on April 14, 1965, Kim Il-sung outlined the three fundamental principles of Juche: political independence, economic self-sustenance, self-reliance in defense. These principles were intended to be not only applicable to Korea. Since 1976, North Korea has organized international seminars on Juche. The Grand International Scientific Seminar on the Juche idea was held in Antananarivo from September 28 to 30, 1976, under the sponsorship of the Democratic Republic of Madagascar. Juche, the banner of independence. The seminar was attended by many prominent party and government officials, public figures, representatives of revolutionary and progressive fighting organizations, men of the scientific and press worlds from more than 50 countries. Malagasy President Didier Ratsiraka expressed strong sympathies and support for the Democratic Republic of Korea. An excerpt from the opening speech. Regardless of the opposition forces, the determination of the people and their strength and conviction are not measured by territorial dimensions, possession of advanced technology, still less opulence or riches. For those who wish to forget the lesson of history so easily and so quickly, Algeria, Vietnam, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, Angola, and closer to us Zimbabwe, Namibia, and Tanzania are excellent examples which make them deeply reflect on what we want is not the perfection of political independence alone. The evil forces craftily manipulate the economic lovers in order to perpetuate their supremacy and reduce us to vassals and eternal mendicants. The International Juche Research Center was established in Tokyo in 1978 to supervise international Juche research groups. The Juche Tower, completed in 1982, incorporated commemorative plaques from supporters of Juche study groups from around the world. The Black Panther Party of the U.S. expressed sympathy to the ideology. On the Juche idea as the main work on Juche in North Korea was published in Kim Jong-il's name in 1982. In North Korea, it functions as the authoritative and comprehensive explanation of Juche. According to the treatise, the Workers' Party of Korea is responsible for indoctrinating the masses in the ways of Juche thinking. Juche is, according to the treatise, inexorably linked with Kim Il-sung, and represents the guiding idea of the Korean Revolution. We are confronted with the honorable task of modeling the whole society on the Juche idea. Kim Jong-il states in the work that Juche is not a creative application of Marxism-Leninism, but rather, a new era in the development of human history. While criticizing the communists and nationalists of the 1920s for their elitist posture, claiming they were divorced from the masses, the KWP's break with basic premises of Marxism-Leninism is spelled out clearer in the article "Let Us March Under the Banner of Marxism-Leninism in the Juche Idea." In August 1997, the Central People's Committee of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea promulgated regulations regarding use of the Juche-era calendar. Gregorian calendar dates are used for years before 1912, while years after 1911 are described as Juche years. The Gregorian year 2015, for example, is Juche 104, as 2015 equals 1911 plus 104. When used, Juche years are often accompanied by the Gregorian equivalent, i.e., Juche 104, 2015, or Juche 104. Concepts. Kim Il-sungmism. Kim Jong-ilism. Kim Il-sungmism was first mentioned by Kim Jong-il in the 1970s and was introduced alongside the 10 principles for the establishment of a monolithic ideological system, not long after the term's introduction to the North Korean lexicon. Kim Jong-il allegedly launched a Kim Il-sungmismization of the whole society campaign. These campaigns were introduced so as to strengthen Kim Jong-il's position within the Workers' Party of Korea. According to political analyst Lim Jae-cheon, Kim Il-sungmism refers to thoughts of Kim Il-sung. It is interchangeable with the Juche idea. However, in his 1976 speech on correctly understanding the originality of Kim Il-sungmism, he said that Kim Il-sungmism comprises the Juche idea and a far-reaching revolutionary theory and leadership method evolved from this idea. In the past, Kim Il-sung's thoughts had been described by the official media as contemporary Marxism-Leninism, but by calling it Kim Il-sungmism, Kim Jong-il was trying to elevate it to the same level as Maoism, Hokkaiism, and Stalinism. The younger Kim further argued that Kim Il-sung's thoughts had evolved, and therefore deserved its own distinct name. He further added, Kim Il-sungmism is an original idea that cannot be explained within the frameworks of Marxism-Leninism. The ideas of Juche, which constitutes the quintessence of Kim Il-sungmism, is an idea newly discovered in the history of mankind. Kim Jong-il went further, stating that Marxism-Leninism had become obsolete and needed to be replaced by Kim Il-sungism. The revolutionary theory of Kim Il-sungism is a revolutionary theory which has provided solutions to problems arising in the revolutionary practice in a new age different from the era that gave rise to Marxism-Leninism. On the basis of Juche, the leader gave a profound explanation of the theories, strategies and tactics of national liberation, class emancipation and human liberations in our era. Thus, it can be said that the revolutionary theory of Kim Il-sungism is a perfect revolutionary theory of communism in the era of Juche. According to analyst Shin Gi-wook, the ideas of Juche and Kim Il-sungism were, in essence, the expressions of North Korean particularism over supposedly more universalistic Marxism-Leninism. In many ways, it signaled a move from socialism to nationalism. This was made very clear in a speech in 1982, when North Korea celebrated Kim Il-sung's 70th birthday, when love for the nation came before love for socialism. This particularism gave birth to such concepts as a theory of the Korean nation as number one and socialism of our style. Following the death of Kim Jong-il, Kim Il-sungism was turned into Kim Il-sungism Kim Jong-ilism at the Fourth Conference of the Workers' Party of Korea, as well as stating that the WPK was the party of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. Kim Il-sungism Kim Jong-ilism was made the only guiding idea of the party. In the Fourth Conference's aftermath, the Korean Central News Agency stated that the Korean people have long called the revolutionary policies ideas of the President Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il as Kim Il-sungism Kim Jong-ilism and recognized it as the guiding of the nation. Kim Jong-un, the WPK First Secretary, said that Kim Il-sungism Kim Jong-ilism is an integral system of the idea, theory and method of Juche and a great revolutionary ideology representative of the Juche era. Guided by Kim Il-sungism Kim Jong-ilism, we should conduct party building and party activities so as to sustain the revolutionary character of our party and advance the revolution and construction in line with the ideas and intentions of the President and the general socialism of our style. Socialism of our style, also referred to as Korean-style socialism and our-style socialism within North Korea, is an ideological concept introduced by Kim Jong-il on the 27th of December 1990 in his speech Socialism of Our Country is a socialism of our style as embodied by the Juche idea. Speaking after the revolutions of 1989 which brought down regimes in the Eastern Bloc, Kim Jong-il explicitly stated that North Korea needed and survived because of socialism of our style. He argued that socialism in Eastern Europe failed because they imitated the Soviet experience in a mechanical manner. They failed to understand that the Soviet experience was based on specific historical and social circumstances and could not be used by other countries aside from the Soviet Union itself. He added that, if experience is considered absolute and accepted dogmatically, it is impossible to build socialism properly. As the times change and the specific situation of each country is different from another, Kim Jong-il went on to criticize dogmatic application of Marxism-Leninism, stating, Marxism-Leninism presented a series of opinions on building of socialism and communism, but it confined itself to presupposition and hypothesis owing to the limitations of the conditions of their ages and practical experiences. But many countries applied the principles of Marxist-Leninist materialistic conception of history dogmatically, failing to advance revolution continually after the establishment of the socialist system. North Korea would not encounter such difficulties because of the conceiving of Juche. In his words, North Korea was a backward, colonial semi-feudal society when the communists took over. But since the North Korean communists did not accept Marxism, because it was based on European capitalist experiences, and Leninism, which was based on Russia's experience, they conceived of Juche. Also, the situation in North Korea was more complex, because of the American presence in South Korea. Thanks to Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il argued, the revolution had put forward original lines and policies suited to our people's aspirations and the specific situation of our country. The Juche idea is a revolutionary theory which occupies the highest stage of development of the revolutionary ideology of the working class, Kim Jong-il said, further stating that the originality and superiority of the Juche idea defined and strengthened Korean socialism. He then conceded by stating that socialism of our style was a man-centered socialism, explicitly making a break with basic Marxist-Leninist thought, which argues that material forces are the driving force of historical progress, not people. Socialism of our style was presented as an organic socio-political theory, using the language of Marxism-Leninism, saying, the political and ideological might of the motive force of revolution is nothing but the power of single-hearted unity between the leader, the party, and the masses. In our socialist society, the leader, the party, and the masses throw in their lot with one another, forming a single socio-political organism. The consolidation of blood relations between the leader, the party, and the masses is guaranteed by the single ideology and united leadership. Great leader theory, unlike Marxism-Leninism, which places material forces as the driving force of historical progress. North Korea considers human beings in general as the driving force in history. It is summarized as, popular masses are placed in the center of everything, and the leader is the center of the masses. Juche, North Korea states, is a man-centered ideology, in which the man is the master of everything and decides everything. In contrast to Marxist-Leninist thought, in which people's decisions are inextricably linked to their relations to the means of production. In Juche thought, man is independent and decides everything. Just like Marxist-Leninist thought, Juche believes history is law-governed, but that it is only man who drives progress. The popular masses are the drivers of history. However, for the masses to be successful, they need a great leader. Marxism-Leninism argues that the popular masses will lead. In North Korea, the role of a great leader should be essential for leadership. This theory allegedly helped Kim Il-sung establish a unitary, one-man rule over North Korea. The theory turns the great leader into an absolutist, supreme leader. The working class is not to think for themselves, but instead to think through the great leader. The great leader is the top brain of the working class, meaning that he is the only legitimate representative of the working class. Class struggle can only be realized through the great leader, and difficult tasks in general and revolutionary changes in particular can only be introduced through, and by, the great leader. Thus, in historical development, it is the great leader who is the leading force of the working class. The great leader is also a flawless human being, who never commits mistakes, who is always benevolent, and who always rules for the masses. The leader is incorruptible. For the great leader system to function, a unitary ideological system has to be in place. In North Korea, that unitary ideological system is known as the 10 Principles for a Monolithic Ideological System. The masses, unlike the Joseon dynasty, where there was a huge gap between the upper and lower classes, North Korea had adopted the concept of a gathered-together people. Instead of a strict social hierarchy, North Korea had, in theory, divided the union into 3 classes: peasant, worker and the Samewon, where each being just as important as the other. The Samewon class consisted of clerks, small traders, bureaucrats, professors and writers. This was a unique class that was created in order to increase the education and literacy of North Korea. Normally, communist nations would value only the farmers or laborers. Thus in the USSR, intelligentsia was not defined as an independent class of its own, but rather as a social stratum that recruited itself from members of almost all classes: proletariat, petite bourgeoisie, and bourgeoisie. However, a peasant intelligentsia was never mentioned. Correspondingly, the proletarian intelligentsia was exalted for bringing forth progressive scientists and Marxist theoreticians, whereas the bourgeois intelligentsia was condemned for producing bourgeois ideology, which were all non-Marxist worldviews. Language reforms followed revolutions more than once, such as the New Korean orthography in North Korea, or the simplification of Chinese characters under Mao, or the simplification of the Russian alphabet after the 1917 revolution in Russia and consequent struggle against illiteracy, known in Soviet Russia as Lichbez. They believed in the rapid industrialization through labor and believed in subjecting nature to human will, by restructuring the social class into a mass of people who are theoretically all equal. The North Korean government claimed it would be able to attain self-reliance or Juche in the upcoming years. This is questionable, as the country suffers massive food shortages annually and is heavily dependent on foreign aid. Songin was first mentioned on 7 April 1997 in Rodong Shinmun under the headline, "There is a victory for socialism in the guns and bombs of the People's Army." It defined the military-centered thinking of the time by stating, "The revolutionary philosophy to safeguard our own style of socialism under any circumstances." The concept was credited to respected General Kim Jong-il. Later, on 16 June 1998, in a joint editorial entitled, "Our party's military-first politics will inevitably achieve victory and will never be defeated," by Kuloja and Rodong Sinmun, it was stated that Songin meant the leadership method under the principle of giving priority to the military and resolving the problems that may occur in the course of revolution and construction, as well as establishing the military as the main body of the revolution in the course of achieving the total tasks of socialism, while the article clearly referred to our party. This was not a reference to the WPK but rather to the personal leadership of Kim Jong-il. On 5 September 1998, the North Korean constitution was revised, and it made clear that the National Defense Commission, the highest military body, was the supreme body of the state. This date is considered the beginning of the Songin era.